Welcome to another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. And of course, we got Angel this week. What's
Yes,
up, Angel?
sir.
What's up, man?
What's up, dude? How you doing?
When I was pushed to go to start the show, I'm like, my mind's not making sense. I'm like, oh wait, I got to do the intro. Normally don't do that. And then
Usually Alex got that.
normally while the thing's going on, I'm like sharing it to every group and stuff. And then I'm sitting there like, what am I doing? Like, oh wait, let me, so I only got a couple. But guys, share the show. Thank you for joining us. This is episode 151. Jeff and Angel. We got a again, if you guys listen to Angel's show, both of us saw each other over the weekend in a local tournament, and we're going to get into that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But both of us, yes, we did well. Main gang cleaned up. But was cool to see each other. That's going to be one of the topics about what is like one of the problems with sport karate is that everywhere we go, different rules happen, right? So that's going to be one of the topics we're going to talk about. Yes. What's up, Alex? I know, man. I know it's a wild week. If you see, I have some banners in the back. I'm at the AFCA Martial Arts Retreat in Natural Bridge, Virginia. So I'm going to share as well about some of the awesome people that I'm teaching with. And myself and Sean Elliott taught today, and Master Eddie Thomas, which I'll tell everyone that may be a great competitor of the week or coach of the week for that. Tell people who that is. But as always, guys, as you see behind, we are sponsored by the Virtual Fight Tour. And, Put Up or Shut Up is September 23rd. And the King of New York is September 24th. Angel, have you ever been to the King of New York?
Yeah, I've gone to the King of New York since not their original one in 2004, but
Right.
when I think at one point they were doing it in conjunction with Twin Towers.
Hey, Serafina. Yes, you're right.
Gangsta, what's up, gangsta? And then they did it again on their own. So from 2014 till now, I think was when they went back to doing it as their own tournament, and I've done it ever since.
Awesome. Yeah, I've never been. This is what happened. Actually, let's see. Sean Elliott had his last tournament, or maybe one of his last ones. He was having Roanoke, right? And I competed, won the money, and said, all right, this is cash money for us to drive up to Jesse's tournament to King, New York. And then at that time, so it was him, Gina, me, and maybe one more person. And then the craziest snowstorm happened, and we just had to turn around about 2 hours into it and said, all right, well, we're just not going to make this happen. So
the reason for people that are wondering, what does he mean by snowstorm? At that time, Jesse's tournament was in February.
Yes,
and it was
February.
always during Valentine's Day weekend because everyone has off from school on the East Coast. So his tournament was always the easiest to get to, and then you had Monday off. So now he moved it to September. I think it's been in September for the past 2-3 years now. So
I think so.
I'm
not sure.
It's been like 2-3 years. I think after actually no, you know what it was? It was he had King of New York in February, Queen of New York in September.
That's right.
And then COVID happened, and then he just stuck with September his date for his whole tournament.
But also Twin Towers was always in September too when he was doing it too.
So that was something that he did. But yeah, no, I remember because there was a snowstorm that hit one year, and that there was like no one thought we were gonna get to the tournament. I'm saying like people from Connecticut didn't think we were gonna get there.
Yeah, it was wild because Kevin was supposed to come up too because both Kevin and I did the same thing. We got the Grand's money that day to pay for our trip up there. So we're hitting 2 tournaments in a weekend. Let's go.
Yeah.
but yeah, so looking forward to that. I mean, King of New York is an awesome tournament. Double elimination for black belt fighters. Or actually, I'm sorry, not double elimination. My bad. 2 rounds for black belt fighters. Okay. Lots of divisions. You can do 2 weight classes, like similar to Waco. So it's worth your money, guys, and a great event for forms fighting, everything. So make sure we're checking it out. And the next thing that's coming up in October is VFT US versus Europe. Everyone's getting hyped for this. He's been releasing new names each and every day. And today, yesterday, and the day before, 3 new names got released. So last week, you and Alex had a great show talking about this, just kind of going on and on about it. And again, I mean, I'm excited for the VFT. I'm also excited for the guys who run Bristol Open because I think this is going to be their best event ever as far as high quality competition. They are becoming that tournament that's up there with the Austrian Classics and eventually, Irish Open and those type of events. Because to me, it's Irish Open, then it would be like Austrian Classics, and then like the Hungary World Cup.
So for
Those
me,
point
I
fighting
always said
cup.
it was Irish Open, Austrian Classic, and then for me personally, I always said it was Point Fighter Cup
Yeah,
because Point Fighter.
that event
Because point,
still is pretty new as well.
but I think for me, for the people that don't know, like I always thought Point Fighter Cup was probably one of the most interesting and unique tournaments in Waco because if you win the open weight, in let's say you win they have divisional grand champions and then those people go
Yes,
against each other, so they
that's
kind of do like
awesome.
an American style twist to
Tournament.
the
Yep.
Waco rules. So, and the cool thing about that, I've always said it, I should get to fight with your shirt off. It's kind of cool. I don't know,
I
I'm
think
weird.
that's lame to me. Like, why? I don't want to see.
Jeff! Oh my God.
Listen. I mean, we talk all the time, and Alex says all the time. The most successful guy from Hungary is Christian.
Christian,
Sorry, we
yeah.
don't want to see Christian with his shirt off.
Yo, you're
Sorry,
so
sorry, bro. We don't. Just like me, no one wants to see me with my shirt off. All right. So there we
listen,
go.
I'm just saying. I always thought because we never saw
agrees.
that
Keep
in
your
the
shirt on.
States, it was cool because we never saw it in the States. I was like, oh, that's dope.
See, I grew up seeing that all the time. It's called PKA. Okay. All right. Okay. Kickboxing, American style kickboxing. All right. And we'll be talking about that soon.
Fish, don't start. Don't tell me to keep my shirt on. Don't start, Fish. Here we go.
Oh man.
Hey, thank you, Alex. My hair is looking really good. I had it done before we got on the show. So yeah, so no, like I think that was something I really like. Oh God. All right, Alex. Something I really thought about this. So ever since last week with Alex, this has been on my mind with the VFT USA versus Europe. Two things. I really want to know if we're gonna get a coach besides Jesse, or if Jesse is gonna be the coach.
Yeah, because this is gonna be really key, especially
really
for Europe.
Yeah, like I'm really interested because I really do feel like if Europe says we have a coach announcement, they'll end up having real training camps for the rules and everything, which I think just adds to the professionalism of the event. The second thing I love about what Jesse is doing is I think we're gonna start seeing the gap being bridged between Waco and in America in terms of just like getting more free flow of fighters coming back and forth.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
We can see that. And I think in terms of that, man, we all say it. Like that just helps the sport grow. And
it does, but I don't think Angel will see it at NASCA events. I think we're going to see it more at these super regionals or independent type events because again, Jesse is going to he might have some of those fighters come to King of New York because it's 2 rounds. We've heard that from Elijah. We've heard that with so many in Europe. They hate coming to America to compete because it's only 1 round. And it used to be awful because it was first to 5, right? But in Europe, it's 2 rounds. So you get that 1 round to kind of get your feet wet, It's
I definitely
fly all the way overseas to fight for, a minute and a half, because we say 2 minutes, but really, there's a lot of,
You're right.
So
you're right. Absolutely right. I definitely agree with you, man. And I really do think that it will be at the super regionals and it will be at regional events. But also, like, I don't know about you, I've noticed since COVID, like post-COVID, regional events are now just as good as a NASCA event. Now just as good as a national. Like you can.
And we talked about this before too. Some are giving the same money or better. So that's a big thing there. That it's like, come on, guys. You see a tournament like the Battle that had its biggest turnout in 15 years, I think.
Yeah, 15 years.
And they're given the same as Richard Osborne did last week.
Yeah.
When you think about it, so it's crazy.
But, let me ask you, because you weren't able to get on the show last week. What is I'm not gonna say matchup first. Let's say what is a sleeper in terms of Europe and USA, like someone you think is gonna make the difference in a fight? Like who do you think?
So for me, I actually agree with the person you said, Richie Veres. To me, he is the smartest fighter. and he is the craftiest fighter on the European team. He's also has, in many ways, besides Elijah, is probably the most successful as far as winning overalls and competing against Americans too. A lot of those guys haven't competed against Americans in a different type of rule besides Waco, right? Like Tolly hasn't been over here, unless I missed something.
Tolly been here. Tolly's been here.
That's right. I forgot where that was. Yeah, American. You're right. Yeah, he did come.
Tolly came with Roman and the whole like German squad came over.
That's right. I remember.
He's been here now. The thing with Tolly was, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong because it was a couple years ago. I don't think he did as good as people thought he was going to do.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, and I think it was because of the 1 round adjustment and because of the pace of the fight. It was completely different. Regionals have upgraded, and a fair amount of nationals have downgraded. You know, Alex is making a good point, man. Honestly,
that's so true.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Honestly,
yeah.
So I think, I think Richie. I think you're right, man. Richie, who do you have on the American side? Who do you think?
American side as a sleeper pick. I would, my heart wants to say Tyson, but also I'm actually going to say someone who was announced today, and that was Kevin, because of his experience with fighting in Europe and in fighting those guys. You know what I mean? So I feel like his experience with that is something, most of the team is very young. That doesn't have that much Waco experience. Actually, Tyson has a good amount on the junior side.
Tyson, Bailey, Tyreek, and
those guys.
So this is someone I'm going to say that also got announced on Monday. That if I would have known he was announced last week, I would have said his name because he does very good in Waco. Is Brandon? Brandon actually does. Yeah,
you're right.
Does really good in Waco.
So like really, a lot of these guys. Perfect. Yeah, he does. He does, and I love how Jesse is doing this and promoting and everything, but I gotta make fun of Coach G. Okay, so when they put out the first thing is Bailey, and everyone's saying, all right, we can't wait to hear the next one. Joe Greenhall goes right under the comments, Brandon's coming too, guys. Like, listen, don't you know that Jesse is doing this thing every couple of days? He's releasing a new. You go on and messed it up. Come on, Coach G.
Gotta give the man his time to promote. He's got to build up the anticipation.
Let him do it.
You gotta see it.
You're right though. You're right, Alex. Yeah, it is VFT rules. They have to fight our game. Maybe we really don't know yet.
But no. It was confirmed that they are fighting by states rules or like VFT rules. They're fighting VFT rules.
So, and VFT rules are closer to Waco rules, really.
Yeah, to be honest with you, man, like it's really not that much difference because if you think about it, VFT doesn't give the 2-point body kick. Neither does Waco.
But like Alex said, the contact. And so I think we're gonna see a big difference in that, in the contact, because in Europe, we know the contact is nowhere near what it is in the States.
It's not. And I just thought about something right now. Okay. So
what's up, Richard? Congrats on a great event, man.
Let's imagine if you have Akin as the center with the Europeans. And it's not knocking Atkins because Akin calls a real point. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone who knows that has had Akin in the ring, and I say it to him all the time, like, yeah, he calls a real point. If he doesn't see it, he genuinely does not call the point.
Correct.
I think it's on Tatami, Abid, if I'm correct.
Okay.
But I don't know, man. I feel because Waco events have a kickboxing.
I would like to have it in a ring. That would be cool.
Yeah. What if they do it in the kickboxing ring? They might.
Yeah. I don't know. Usually Bristol, the videos I've seen have never had a ring in it.
Oh, really?
Their thing they've done is just the tatami, the kick, the continuous, the kickboxing, the low kick. And then tag team is their big thing. They don't do team fighting like all the other Waco events. They do tag team.
That is kind of dope, though.
That is cool. It's their own thing, and that's why I really respect them as promoters, because they've done their own thing.
Yeah.
Which is important. You don't want to just, it's just something fun that they do there, and that's my favorite thing. Anytime I go and watch Bristol Open videos, it's the tag team stuff, man. So
I'm gonna be real, man. I've seen tag team throughout the years. I wish they bring it back to the States.
Yeah, and a lot of times they don't do it the right way that
No.
Like they'll say you can only tag in breaks, which I hate.
No, you can't do that.
Don't do that. Yeah.
So
It was a big
when
thing in
we
Crane.
fought,
So Crane was always big with tag team fighting, right?
yeah, they were.
And then that was really weird. So, but they would have like a world Crane tag team championship,
Yeah.
So it was kind of wild.
I know for when I did tag team in Texas this year, we did mixed doubles tag team. That one you can tag at any moment, but at the 1 minute mark, you had to make a tag, regardless of who came in and who came out. So if I tagged in at 57
mixed
seconds,
doubles tag team. So you're beating up women, Alex. What the heck?
no.
I mean, Angel. Sorry, my bad.
Dude, you have to if you tag the girl in, the other girl has to get tagged.
Okay,
in.
all right.
I'm not. All right, Jeff.
Man.
There we go. Way to label me as a woman
I'm
beater.
making sure,
Good job.
I'm making sure you're behaving.
Way you try to label me on that one. Good job. There you go. But no, I really do, man. I think if you do tag team the right way, it's exciting, man. It's really exciting. Tag team done at Battle this year and last year. I was blessed enough that I won tag team last year with my brother. We did it, and we ended up winning tag team in the Pro Mac event. It was a lot of fun.
But what's funny is that, okay, so I'm sitting there this year watching, and they told everyone the rules before that you were supposed to only tag in the breaks. And then as it happened, the fighters decided not to do it. Yeah. So, which is the way I wanted it to be, but the judges didn't really know what way. So
I don't like tagging on the breaks. I think you should be able to tag at any moment. And
anytime.
The one biggest thing with tag team is you can't call time to fix your glove. That's when you tag out. You fix your glove, tag it. Like that's it. Like don't call time, fix your glove, and then keep fighting. Tag out, fix your glove, and get back in. That's it. So those are some good things. I can't wait to see what's gonna happen with this with VFT. And just being USA versus Europe, it's gonna be amazing. I think the buzz leading up to it. Let me ask you
the other fighter, Angel. Before, what was the other fighter's name that was just announced?
Robert Gaducci from Italy.
Robert Gaducci.
I don't know if people may have seen him, may not have seen him. He's fought Johnny Tension, he's fought Ross. A few years, actually more like 10 years now. And now that I think about it, it's been like 2013, I think, was when he fought them. But I've watched him a few times, and I'm sure people that have gone and competed in Waco, they know about him. He is a good kicker, man. He's a really good kicker from Italy. And I think he was part of that intensive point fight training. He was part of like that whole group. He's Gregorio DeLeo was doing it. One big thing I also wonder, man, do you think USA needs a heavyweight? Yes or no?
Like a real heavyweight.
A true heavyweight, not just
a light heavyweight.
Yeah, not someone who fights in the heavyweight grand bracket.
Right.
Like
because right now we have Devin
and Darren.
And Darren,
Devin,
and
Darren,
Brandon.
and Brandon. Those are
all, but they're still all middleweight fighters.
They're middle and light middle, and Devin maybe light heavy. Like it depends on what he's doing that day. But
exactly.
Most of the time, I think I've seen Devin only.
Most of the time, him and Darren are in the same division. A lot.
Yeah. So do you think we need a true heavyweight, whether it's light heavy? Do you think we need that or no? In terms of USA,
I would like to see it. Yeah, I would like to see it because imagine putting one of our heavyweights on one of their heavyweights. It's not the same. You know what I mean? Like, all right, Cam versus Chris Ashton.
Yeah.
Come on. And I'm not here trying to say I don't like the European style or anything. It's just a different level. Okay.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it definitely is.
So I would love to see that. The announcements though of the team being like, I guess we're 8 or 9. It almost made me think that, we're not getting certain people. Maybe we'll get 2 females. I don't know. The way it's set up, maybe it's only 1. Maybe we're not getting any. I have no idea. It's really wild. But
I'm sure Jesse's working on getting females. I'm sure he is. And we also got to think, look at the female landscape. And I think Alex hit something on the head I didn't even think about last week. Just our female landscape. How many of them are truly Americans from America that we can pull from?
Correct.
It's just the pool is not much.
I'm just thinking of, even if we needed to, just based on who's already going, like let's look at who trains with Tyreek, right? So Brianna Nerf could go, or even Tahira could go. There's several different ones that could do that. So I can't wait to see that. But Dev, Stacks, and Blue bring more contact as middleweights than what they bring in heavyweight. Agreed.
Oh,
Agreed.
Abid, you hit the
Agreed.
nail on the head
Yep.
with that one. That's
Yep.
without a doubt. That's
Exactly.
without a doubt.
Exactly. So, I mean, we don't necessarily have to, but just imagine we had Cam on that team,
Yeah.
and his leadership too, and the way he gets people hyped.
Yeah.
I think, we have Jesse as a coach. Well, actually, Jesse probably shouldn't be a coach.
Well, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking, because I'm thinking it could be a conflict of
So,
interest. So that's why for
someone
me, I
like,
think if you
yeah,
pull a Java, a Troy, a Jody,
yeah,
and let's say you even get Richard somehow to be the coach. I mean, listen, like those are
right.
all things, because I also feel like we may see a comeback of Istvan Karali. He may come back and coach the European team.
Who knows? Who
He may.
knows? Who
Or
knows?
what if we get a Zol or a Laszlo stepping into that coach's role for something like this?
Yeah.
You never know.
It's a little hard, with the language barrier, which way, I mean, there's not too much of a language barrier, but those guys have experience with each other.
Yeah,
But
they all have
I
fought each
like
other.
Alex's suggestion of Dave. Dave is a great coach, and that
Yeah.
would work well with that area.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, so this is exciting. We got a lot going on. Lots of big events coming up in sport karate. And again, I'll go ahead and share what I'm doing. So yes, like I told you, I'm at the Africa Martial Arts Retreat. There is 2 different tracks. There's a self-defense track what students can do, and then a sport karate track. Today, I taught sport karate type creative style forms and kicks, and then Eddie Thomas is an amazing fighter and forms better from the late 70s, early 80s, but he also is the instructor of John Belair. Okay. And so he taught right after me, and then Master Sean Elliott taught after that. And so they called our group today Kicking with the Masters, right? And so it was really cool. Us 3 who are all known as great kickers, and all from our area, and all from the same style, American freestyle karate, our same instructor. It's just cool to have us, here doing that together. So that was a fun one today. In the other room, there was some Jeet Kune Do training. There was some Israeli knife training. So it's wild, man. There's a lot. Right now, they're setting up radon gun tactics. So they're going to be doing some shooting in here
Dude, I love
tomorrow.
when I did that at the Super Show. That is a lot of
Yeah,
fun, honestly.
so it's really cool. Tomorrow, it starts at 6 a.m. with yoga, then breakfast, then 8 o'clock. In one room, the sport karate is doing warm ups and drills, while in the other room we're doing the DNA fight science, which I'll be helping with that, which is called Defense Lab. That's one of the things that I'm working on. I'll be testing for my black belt in that style in October.
Ooh,
So it's
awesome.
really cool. If anyone's ever seen the Christian Bale series of Batmans, or I mean a lot of different ones, that style of fighting they did for the fight scenes is where they get that's that DNA fight science. It has a lot of different names, but Defense Lab is what they use for those movies. So
Okay.
so it's pretty cool. Also, I set with Ron Searles, who was an NBL world champion in the 90s, but he's been a stunt fighter, choreographer. He's been John Reacher. He did Buffy the Vampire Slayer for all of these years as a fight stunt guy. He's about to go in a movie. He just said with Stallone. Well, somebody, like he's with, I don't know
Those,
what I
those
can't say.
NDAs,
Yeah.
those NDAs, bro.
Yeah. I'm
Those
like, what should
NDAs.
I don't know. But yeah, he's just big time, in that industry. So it's really awesome, sharing old memories, but also here. So tomorrow he's doing a whole fight choreography thing, and then after that I do traditional forms, and then he does contemporary forms.
Okay.
So there's lots going on. Ron Ferguson be here. Magic
Ron
Johnson.
Ferguson, I just met Mr. Ron Ferguson on
Yes.
Sunday when he came and trained at
Oh,
Master
okay.
Elliott School for a training. So big ups
That's
to Master
awesome.
Ron Ferguson. It was a pleasure to
So
meet you, sir.
he'll be here teaching. Marty Knight
Awesome.
will be teaching.
Friday night. Okay.
Yeah, Magic Johnson will be teaching. Lots of guys. So lots of guys here. So Jerome Magic Johnson. All right. So again, in the South, he's a legend here. Okay, he's a legend.
Listen, I'm only asking because I know if I thought it, though everyone else thought the same thing. Magic Johnson's teaching. What's he teaching over there? I'm about to drive there right now.
But and then Friday night, well, we have classes all Friday, and then I actually am midterming for my 6th degree at one of my tests. So we in our style we midterm at least twice a year. Most black belts actually do more than that. I do it with my own. Like I'll take the test with my students, at least at my school, and then when we have these big things like this, we do a test with. So it'd be about 10 of us that are all 5th degree and above. All of us are testing together, so it's going to be really cool. So that's Friday, and then Saturday is the tournament. And then this is one of my last ones before. Yeah, Saturday is the tournament, and then Sunday we do a graduation in front of the Natural Bridge, which is a big historical thing and outside and stuff. So it's a cool thing, man. This is something that hopefully I'm sure he's going to keep doing it next year. And we'll, it's a great opportunity, especially for this area, to learn different stuff. As far as just anytime you get those opportunities, make sure you take it. So,
hey, I just want to tell you something funny. I think is gonna make you laugh. So you were saying how you and Master Elliott were teaching a kicking class. One, I can only imagine how that must have been, because when I do kicking with Master Elliott, my tongue is on the floor. So that must have been crazy. But let me tell you, I had this weird thought that I thought I could do the inverted kick yesterday. Yeah. And I threw it once, and I had like a tingle feeling on my leg. I said, "Nah, I think I'm good." I was like, I'm gonna leave that to Jeff. So I think I'm good. He got it.
That's funny. That's funny. Oh man. All right. So we're gonna go into what we did over the weekend, and this is a great topic: weird rules at sport karate events. And so,
this gets me.
We were at a tournament, in Danville, Virginia. Those guys that know, when you guys go to tournaments, especially a lot of NASCAR tournaments, you probably see Jeff McGregor. He has a booth at a lot of the events selling things and stuff. It was his tournament, right? Several tournaments in Virginia have different rules, but for some reason we have these rules that no other area does, and it's always weird to me. So I'm the head coordinator of the tournament. I'm on the microphone. I see Angel come in. And as soon as he comes in, I wait for him to get halfway down the thing. I just go, Angel Diaz, please report to the head table. And he's like, what did I do this time? What happened? And he sees it was me. And then he just thought it was funny. So I already scared him from the beginning. He's like, I just come to this my first random local tournament in Virginia, and I'm getting called out.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. So that was fun. Let's explain these rules, okay? So there is no time limit, all right? That's one. Because here's the deal. That's more stuff to bring, right? More things to teach the staff, more scorekeepers. So that's one of the reasons. I get it. Then imagine like NASCAR rules from the 90s. All kicks are 2 points, hands are 1, 1st to 5. That's for underbelts. 1st to 7 for black belts. So no time limit. So really the match could take 15 seconds, 30 seconds, or 5-6 minutes if it's a senior fight, okay, which I've seen. or if the judges just don't want to call anything because they either want it to be really hard, but if it's too hard, they're going to call you penalty. So, like in Virginia, it's really weird. Like we call low kicks more than any area. Yeah, for a point more than any area. This term also did no face contact for underbelts. So that part was a little weird too. It's a different mindset. And I try to explain this to people that, but if this was a normal tournament, I wouldn't fight this way. Like I have to fight this way. So explain that, because I can talk about it all the time, but you, especially as an outsider, come in. What did you feel like?
So I'm gonna tell people, and just from what my personal experience. As soon as I got there, I was so glad Jeff called me to the desk. First thing when he called, I looked around. I said, "Oh, Mom, it must be another Angel Diaz here in Virginia." And and then I go, "Oh wait, everyone, Victoria, Austin, Jaden, everyone's like, it's you." Fish yelled at me. I was like, "All right, calm down. I'm gonna go to this table. I don't know what I did already." And then I see his Jeff, so we start cracking up. But in terms of just like the rules, starting out first, it was just you could tell like the energy was a little different, and you just watching it. I know everyone has this gripe about what a referee or a center judge or a judge should look like. So I'm gonna just say, from the judges I saw, they would wear their gis and their belt, they wear their black belt, they wear black pants and their black belt, whatever it was, you knew who the judges were.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, and that's not good or bad. That's just, we just knew who the judges were from the start. When it came to the fighting aspect, I saw some kids fight. Let's say even with Jeff's students, they took 10 seconds, and I'm not an exaggeration. I'm saying like 3 kicks and a punch. That's all Jeff had to tell them.
Yep.
And other fights, it took extremely long, and points weren't really getting called the same way the fight before. And at one point, even I looked at Jeff. I said, "Man, you can't really punch anybody in the face any cleaner than that. Like, that's about as clean as it gets." Like,
right.
Like, I don't even know what else to call for it. And Jeff saying just in terms of how they call points. So, most places, let's just say NASCA, other places around the country, you can get a penalty. Let's say if I'm kicking someone, they kick me low, whether it's my leg, my groin, whatever it is, and I kick them in the stomach. I'm going to get a call first for the kick. Let's say it's 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to get a call for the penalty point, and I'm going to get a point. Yeah. Over here, it wasn't like that. It was, I could kick you in the stomach clean as day. If you kicked me in the leg, I'm getting a point just for the penalty, and that was it. There was no warning.
See, that's weird because most of the time, so like at our tournaments that are historically NBL, like in North Carolina and stuff, which a lot of the judges do both.
Yeah,
you get this. So a penalty on the side and 2 on the side, so it could be 3. But no, you're right though. I didn't see that this week, and actually, I was in one ring. I was upset because, I mean, there was in one of my girls. She was fighting, and she's just getting killed in the legs and in the groin, and it's like, what the heck? But then they'll call a penalty for the face contact, and it was like, well, you're looking down below, because she can't even get her leg up because the girl's just kicking her legs. So, we needed to adjust on that, but it also makes it hard to adjust when it's that fast.
When it's going fast, and then on top of that, now we all have, and I'm gonna say this: I didn't dare step this line because I can tell where it was gonna go. But let's say that happens, and then don't even dare say, "Hold on, time," but he hit me late, and try to argue it, because now you just made the fight go a whole different way. It's kind of like, shut up, take it. It is what it is, and fix on the next exchange.
Right. And again, not just we're going to talk about other areas too, but this is just one that was just, especially when you're new to it. I know years ago, about probably 10 years ago, Marco Johnson came down to fight at the same tournament and was just like, whoa, what is going on? Just, it's just different. It's a culture shock, right?
Yeah, it is a culture shock. And I also know, like, for me also, the other thing was no one knew who I was. And this is and I would, Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, that's a tournament where pretty much everyone knows everyone. Everybody knows who's coming. For the most part, like, you guys have all seen each other at a tournament or two, whenever it could have been. So I came out there as an outsider, and I very much kind of felt like an outsider. Not I was being treated completely wrong, but like, some people were looking, staring, wondering who I was. I see people pointing, trying to be like, who is this guy? Then I'm with Master Elliott. So then everyone started freaking out. At one point, they're like, oh, Gina and Master Elliott are talking to him. What's going on here? Then Jeff at one point kind of just left me by myself, and I was like, all right, well.
No, it's called I had to compete right after you. Like, I was the next division, right? Like, my fight was there. I'm sitting there, and I'm listening to your show, and you're like, yeah, Jeff just left me after I'm going to get jumped. Like, you weren't getting jumped. No one's talking trash to you.
Listen, me and Jeff, we talked about it. Guys, literally, all I'm getting trash talked after my fight, and I looked to
I'm
my
the next
left,
fight, dummy.
Jeff was there. I looked back. Jeff left, and I was like, all right, man, I guess
I was right
Jeff
in front of you
like,
fighting. I was right in front of you fighting.
No, I did see you in front of me fighting. I heard you at one point saying, like, come on, Angel, let's go. That part was different. Now, this is something I'm going to tell you guys. You guys explain this to me. I'm going to be honest with you, Jeff. Like, this drove me up a wall. I don't understand how there's no time limit. It's 1st to 7. They don't call one each way. It's just if it's a penalty point, it's a point, and you don't get the point after. But you can call a timeout. But there's no time limit. But you can call a timeout.
You can call a timeout. Yeah, 10-second time. That
Like,
was something that
to
was added
me,
in.
like,
that was
no
added
joke.
in recently. Well, after the past probably 10 years, because of what we were trying to do, and really that was me trying to get the NBL rules into effect at these events, and that was my first little thing that I could kind of get right.
Hey,
and I had to do a step at a time, and then they kicked me out of the league because my tournament got too big and they didn't want to run my rules. So, yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't expect for you to go that way with it. Damn,
Dude,
Jeff.
no, I'm explaining to people how awesome our circuit was. At one point, it's called All-Star Series. And then they kicked me out, and then next year it failed, and then it crumbled. So,
all right. So we see Jeff. Without Jeff, it wasn't going nowhere. Got you.
Right. And so I had it all set up to be actually an NBL region within itself. And a way to build. This was about 10 probably more than that, 10, 11 years ago. And then just they didn't really want to go down that line, and then they didn't have a league anymore. So it's just, things like that. So I've seen and witnessed a lot of this too. So I still from this get some of that hate as well. You may not have seen it, but I get some of that too from that.
Well, yeah. So I know I felt it. And then I know, so this is something, and again, there's tournaments up by me, very small, very few tournaments that do 1st to 5, no point, no time limit. And those, you'll never really see me go out to those too much. I may go every once in a while.
Yeah.
Kind of more or less if I'm just working.
Now, is it 1 and 2s, or is it just everything's 1 point?
Everything's 1.
Yeah. So there's another league like that too in North Carolina that was doing that for a while. And then they upped it to 7 and everything was 1 point. It's like, oh man, this is wild.
Again, for me, like I go to those tournaments, and those are the ones that you guys will really see me working some new techniques and everything. Yeah. But one thing, Jeff can be my vouch for this. Jeff even messaged me the next day. I'm gonna tell you guys, being the outsider. Now, you guys let me know, being an outsider and going into a tournament where, every tournament has people that they've seen win more than none, more than a few. Right. It was extremely hard for me to close out my last match.
It was.
And
I watched the video and I was like,
and in terms of like me, and I'm not saying, guys, like I should be winning every single match. And it's not even that. It's just we've all have been in those situations. And me and Eugene talked about this yesterday with Joe, where getting points in Chicago was extremely hard because they want to kind of see the match go a certain way. And and I can't say that's what the judges were doing. But at one point, thank you. Yeah, Fish knows. Yeah, so even Master Elliott, and if people know, like Master Elliott and Miss Gina Thornton, they're like extremely hard on me. They came up to me after and were just like, man, like they were giving you a run for your money on that one. Like it was, it was kind of tough to get those points. And so I think that just goes to show,
to be fair, I feel like a lot of those judges tend to do that because of the rules, because it's 1st to 7, you have to get points. And they tend to, when it comes up, because in your situation, it's 6-0. And it's like they want that person. They make it harder on you to score that last point. And I because my students have been through the same thing. And he's like, this drives me nuts because, and a lot of times, they're going against the senior fighter. So it's like, you want me to hit this guy and knock this old guy out? Like, come on. And it's sitting there and you're like, and I've dealt with the same thing. I'm like, come on, guys. Do you want me to just knock him out? Is that what you want me to do? And that's like, I hate when they push it that way. It's like, okay, I'm trying to be controlled and not too over, but I'm up 6-0. All I need is 1 more point. And that whole thing too, that's a whole different idea. It makes it where you have to be offensive, but you also are setting yourself up to get scored on too, right?
And that is, and personally, and I said it, I talked to Master Elliott after, and a few people that have asked me how the tournament went or they've seen the fight, I've talked with them. And like my whole biggest thing, and this has always just been me, like if with the no time limit thing and you say 1st to 7, you take the you take the beauty away from fighting in terms of like the IQ, the setting up, all that stuff. You kind of take it away a bit because now you make it where I have to still get to 7. Right. I can't use footwork and use high IQ, make you miss, and then hit you. It's like I still have to go forward. And if you know that, you're in a way, you're not going to come forward and give me a chance to hit you. So you're going to say, well, at least let me try to catch you coming in.
Yep.
And then, as you said, if they want to see the underdog story, it plays into it. So all these things become a factor, and it becomes kind of hard. Another rule that it's not just there. I've gone to other places that has thrown me off is, okay, so you tell me how you feel about this. The fact that you can, in one division, 1 foot in, 1 foot out is a point to the other side. But if you fight in another division at the same tournament, it's not. And 1 foot in, 1 foot out. That's happened to me, and it's been in certain places where I've competed that because the rules in this division were specific, that could happen. Yeah. Something I was hoping that I didn't see in the forms division over there, Jeff. I was gonna say, please don't tell me you guys have a restart rule.
No.
I was gonna be like, guys,
no. Well, see, one of the circuits down here, I think they still do for weapons.
Really?
Yeah, the TCT does. Because they're following the old NBL rules. So, I mean, I hated that rule. I mean, and again, it took me a long time to at least get that taken out for forms. And those are, and that's what people would just think, that when you're trying to do things and make rule changes with these people that have their mind set, you got to take a little bit and get a little bit step by step, right?
Yeah, you do.
So for me and a couple other promoters, it wasn't just me, to get it, because it used to be everything open style was a restart, right? And then it was like, okay, what's the point for forms? Like, I get it for weapons if you want to say, so that way we keep the difficulty going, whatever. I don't agree with it, but I understand your point of view. Let's take it away for this. So we finally got it taken away for this. There's like one step, because these tournaments were taking so long because every single division was restarting. Like there was a division of 14, 12 would restart.
Oh my God!
Double the division, and that would happen.
And you still gotta give them a first, second, or third.
Yes.
Oh no.
So it was wild. It kind of got out of hand. So that was one. At these tournaments, it reminds me of kind of old school, of where the center judge thinks whatever rule they want to do, they run that ring, right?
Yeah.
And I had a situation with this with a young guy who was trying to, Doug, they do for weapons. I believe that's what I've seen at the ones I've been to, Doug. But all right. One of the other judges was coming in to check on, because his competitor said, hey, I think they just missed, they didn't add the points up right. So Sensei, can you go ask the center just if we can, or the scorekeeper, just if we can tally the scores just to make sure, right? So I get called over there, and the center is having a fit. I don't change my score. Nope, you're not set when that he wants me to change my score. Nothing's wrong with my score. I'm like, that's not what. And I just said, hold on, sir. Let me figure out what he's talking, because I know the other guy as well. And I'm like, something's not right the way he's acting. It seems like an ego thing. And so I asked the instructor, he's like, no, I'm not asking him to change his score. When there's only 3 judges, so I can tally it in my head, this is what they said. Can we just at least look at the score and redo it to make sure? I go over there and ask to recalculate the scores. It was a mistake. They were right. And the guy didn't know what to do, and eventually did apologize. But it was like, listen, no one's asking you to do this or that. It's just, there's error sometimes, but don't freak out and start a scene. And, it's just, I don't like that. And it reminds me of going to Chicago. Okay. So Chicago, this is a great one. AKA's 2001. Jason Tankson and Raymond Daniels, they are fighting for the lightweight grand. At this time, it was an NBL tournament, so they did the NBL Grands, and then the Warrior Cup. It was like a separate division, almost like open weight, right?
Okay.
And they did the same thing for forms as well. There were in forms of weapons, the Warrior Cup. It was just a
How would
separate
that work?
type
They
thing.
just take the top 3, or
You went and you signed up for a whole nother division. So it'd be like
oh,
forms and then or open and then traditional or it was weapons and
okay,
for whatever it was like that.
okay, I got you.
And so everyone did their own thing like that. And so that's how it worked. But the center, they're going at it. I mean, it's a wild fight with Raymond and Jason. And the center is like, stop. I don't care what everyone says, because there's a lot of arbitration going on because NBL rules are not being followed. I don't care what you say. I make the damn rules, and this is what's going to happen. And he even stood up on a chair and yelled at everyone. It was like, whoa. In the same ring over here, you have Bob Liker and IDC at the time versus CJB at the time, getting into it about a lot of things. And that's one of the reasons why our team left and walked out of the tournament that time. And then on the other ring, you have Ron Ferguson versus Scorpion Barrage. And Ron Ferguson and Scorpion Barrage are hitting each other after the break. And all Scorpion students are running the ring. Well, Sharon Ferguson, Ron Ferguson's wife, like punches 2 or 3 of them. And it was just them two taking on all the Scorpion students. It was wild, man. So 3 things are happening all at once. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, it was wild, man. It was an intense. This was an intense AK. And again, that was my last AK until this year. Like I didn't go back.
It scarred you that bad. You said, I just gotta make sure it's still good.
I'm good.
Sure.
I'm good.
I've seen some of those rules. Some rules in forms that I've come across competing. So yes, guys, I still do my forms regionally and locally. I still sometimes see the mix of men and women in the division.
You mean in forms?
Yeah, I still see that mix.
Yeah. That's still
that's something that I always find. I don't know. It's weird because on the East Coast, you don't really find it as much because you find women's and men's separated. But in
the South, it's not. Yeah.
Yeah, in like the South, and so as I got further south, I started seeing it more and more, and it was something that I don't know. It's not that I always just think it's weird, just because I'm so used to it now being separated. So when I see it together, it kind of throws me off.
My first year, when I was still a teenager, there were still females in the men's fighting grands. It was just one fighting grand. Yeah, and I've been in tournaments. Actually, I went to a tournament in Wisconsin where they did that, and they let the women. They said, "All right, the women can fight in their grand for $100, but if you want to step in and fight for more money, you can go into the men's."
So I've heard about some of those stories. I've heard about some of those
Alex
stories.
Was at that tournament. Alex was at that tournament.
Alex was there? Oh,
yeah. I think he won the grand that day.
He beat a girl?
Huh?
He beat up a girl?
No, no, he didn't. He didn't fight a girl.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just want to throw Alex under the bus for once.
Yeah.
Like, now I've heard some of those stories from Master Elliott. I heard that they used to happen in Virginia sometimes.
Yeah, he used to have a fight Sue Brazelton, and Nikki Carlson used to fight men all the time when she was 15. So
yeah. So I heard about some of those stories, which I mean, hey, listen, like girls rule the world. If they win in it, there's nothing to say.
Ronda Alexander was a great one as well from that time.
Hey, listen, I'm the first one to tell everybody, man. When I go to my team trainings with Master Elliott, I get beat up by the girls. They destroy me. Like Jaden and Bree.
Yeah,
Jaden and Bree, especially Bree. I'm afraid.
I'm the same way. When I train with them too for team workouts.
Yeah, so I don't care what no one says. They can hold their own. Is there? I'm trying to think. Is
what's
there
another one? All right, here's one. All right, so if anyone's ever been to Ohio, and competing in PKC style events, some guys in Chicago know of these events, or Ohio, or even New York or Pennsylvania. But in Ohio, they would have legal groin kicks. But in the underbelt division, it was legal groin kicks, but like a focus groin kick. So like
a legal groin kick for an underbelt and the kids?
Legal, yep.
But
time out. But time out, even worse, no contact. So like
you just not show I was gonna kick you in the groin?
Exactly. So it's like the 4-inch rule to the nuts, right? So like you could pick your leg up, you can just chamber underneath it and get a point. It was the wildest thing ever. They stopped it after that, but like it was nuts.
Listen, fish. Listen, baby wing. Cut it out. But that's crazy.
But yeah, so that's some wild rules. All right.
Yeah, I've seen some of
Yeah.
those.
Listen, so I'm not a big fan of the competitors breaking. I think you either can finish, or I think this is one of the NBL did a good job at, is that if it broke, you have like 1 minute to get a new weapon and go. I'm fine with
So
that.
I
Or
think that's
pick it
cool.
up and keep going.
Yeah,
You know, but
yeah.
you
So
can't be
I think that's cool,
deducted for
Jackson.
that.
I'm glad you brought this up. I've always thought about this, right? And I always think about it in terms of my brother specifically, just because, so people don't know, my brother does Iku now. He can do bow also.
Yeah.
My brother, I always wondered, I said, man, if he broke his bow, because I think he did bow one time and it did break and he got disqualified.
Yeah.
But before he did bow, he used to do screamer sticks, Kali sticks. So I always said, I was like, but if someone breaks their bow, and let's say they now start doing a Kali form and they're able to finish it,
right?
Why
awesome.
not? Like, if anything, that shows how versatile you are. If we're talking about what forms, the meaning of forms, what it really is, you kept going in the fight and you still defended yourself. Why would you not?
And I hate that rule. That some old school guys go, in a real fight, if your weapon breaks, you lose. No, you stab them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not.
Like,
if my chi branch broke, and I'm not gonna say, well, I'm done. My branch broke. I'm gonna hit you with both sticks. I'm not gonna do that. Like,
exactly. And well, like an AK, that's what happened to me. My nunchuck broke. It was out of my control at all. You know, like I had nothing to do with it. How am I DQ'd for something like that? You know?
So that part, I don't like that part. I don't like how, like, if that's truly out of your control, because I've seen. I'm not gonna
actually. Here's someone I've seen break an oar. I've seen Brett Thomason break an oar before.
I've seen Terry Kramer break an oar too.
Yes.
I'm like, they're like first strike, they like snapped it, but because of the rule, they had to hold it and they couldn't really maneuver the Iku the way they wanted to. So it actually inhibit their form. Something I've always said that I've seen someone, and I'm not gonna say it was Mason Bumba, but it was someone who did extreme. Maybe Jackson can say he saw before who it was. That they did like their first strike in their form, and it like the top flew off.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, like that's not even his fault. It's not like he came here and said, "Oh, that's gonna be part of my act." Like, no, like that's like he did not mean to do that. It's correct. It's different, man.
Yeah, that's a rule I really wish would change, because it doesn't make it's not. You can't equate that the same as dropping your weapon. It's not the same.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing.
That's what they try to make it as, and it's not the same.
No, it's
not the same. All right, so that was a good tell, because that went on a lot longer than I thought.
Sorry, it was just we started getting into the rabbit holes, man.
It was fun, man. That was fun. All right, let's on the way here. Let's start working on wrapping it up. But you talked to going about JPM and the people that you loved watching growing up, and you said JPM in first. All right, Revolution. But let's just talk some of the people that you like growing up. We'll kind of go back and forth, because again, this has to do with
Jackson's article.
And here's the deal. This is what I put in the comment and shared.
So listen,
network, guys.
And I'm not going to
watch network.
And
watch Inside Scoop, because we interview people and we talk about this stuff all the time. So if you want to learn about, watch our show. This is what we do.
I'm not going to say I took credit for that article with Jackson, but I will say me, Jackson, and Damon Gilbert had a great talk at Martial Arts Super Show, just in terms of talking about the old greats, the difference between now and then, people now. Let's go back and forth. You want to do forms? You want to start out with forms, weapons, sparring? Which one you want to do?
I'm just name stuff, man, and maybe a story of why you like
them. For me, man, someone in terms of like the form side, Samuel Diaz. Nah, okay. I just want to say that for the bias. But in terms of forms, before my brother, or someone just outside my brother that I saw that actually really caught my eye, was Marco Johnson. I saw him when I'm saying like when I first started competing, I saw Marco, and I'm not gonna say I never had appreciation for Kung Fu forms, but I never knew what a real Kung Fu form should look like until I saw Marco.
Okay, awesome. But he brings his own style to it, and that's what I love.
And that's what I like about it, is that you saw him, and then you saw Sengao come, and I got to see the difference and
The
like
difference, yeah.
difference in the style.
And guys, we'll probably be seeing him next week because in DC that's where he's from. So
Yep.
Marco is just like me, still doing it, still can compete, still can make it to stage.
Yeah.
He's a year younger than me, so we've been competing with each other since we were 8, 8, 9. So I was actually at let's see, I did a demo at his and Ryan Pinkston and Aaron Pinkston's green belt test. Okay. And I came and did a demo at Bam's school, at his dad's school.
Yeah.
So that's a great one. I'm going to go off of what you guys talking about, like your favorite JPM fighters growing up. Of course, Pedro, but for me, one that I loved watching was John Payton. Okay. So John Payton was like a light heavyweight fighter, but he was one of Billy Blank's students. Okay. And it's just his vibe that he had was just so cool to me. Like he would hit someone, bring that hand up, put his hands on his hips, look at all the score, and then go back at it again. And it was just like he had this bravado that, yeah, I hit you with that. Jody shared a great story about John Payton too. He's like, ain't nobody better, ain't nobody better. And that's what he would say. And he would just be talking to you while he was fighting you. And I loved it, man. John Payton was just amazing. So that's definitely one.
If I'm going to go on I'm going to stick with Paul Mitchell in terms of forms and weapons. It's 2 people for me. Matt Emig and Mike Chat. I really loved watching them. And Mike Chat, I actually got introduced to Mike Chat before I even knew he was on Paul Mitchell when I saw him do the documentary for Discovery Channel, I think it was, with Matt Mullins.
Oh, with Matt Mullins, yeah.
Yeah, so that's actually cool. How I figured out. Little did I know, I watched the Power Rangers growing up. I didn't even know who he was.
Yeah.
When I got to karate, I was like, oh, I watched him my whole life. This is amazing.
That's cool. That's cool.
Mike Chat and Matt Emig, and I really think, man, Matt Emig was someone who, I think we talked about it before. He innovated what Chucks is like, and it's just he really did.
And he brought flavor into forms, and he made it his own. He didn't copy what everyone was doing, and that's why I think Matt is top 3 of all time.
Yeah.
To me. So he's really probably my favorite after John Blair is my instructor.
Yeah, of course.
And just the impact that John did, and also Carmichael Simon. I mean, I've shared a lot of who are these big ones, but I want to share some ones that maybe people don't really know, because that's kind of what there's people that have done innovative things that people don't know about, right? And even there's a guy Ron Searles. Ron Searles was a great kicker. He did helicopter kicks, which were jump outside, spinning
with Van Damme type kicks, right?
Yeah, and he would do those in his forms. And now he is, a stunt choreographer and does even camera stuff now for that. He creates a lot of this stuff now of how the scenes are done. Okay. Yes, Mom. Jimmy Pham is one that does not get talked about.
Yes,
enough.
Jimmy Pham does not get
Jimmy
talked about.
Jimmy Pham is to me growing up. Okay, once Carmichael moved up to the adults, it was Jimmy Pham's world. Okay, even though Kingston Ing and some other guys, Kingston Ing is one of my favorite kickers ever. Yeah. But when Jimmy Pham was the guy to beat, right? I remember the one tournament when I tied him. And I was just like, that's it. I'm good. You know what I mean? I did. It was Battle of Atlanta 99. It was just a huge thing. Jimmy had style. He had charisma. He had amazing kicks. Still to this day, the coolest thing one of my favorite things is he did, everyone back then did a 540 hook aerial, right?
Yeah.
He did 540 side kick, stick it aerial.
Oh, wow.
So imagine stopping your momentum to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Stop yourself to do it.
And he did it. It was so cool. It was so good. So Jimmy was just amazing. He was a pre-med at UCLA, and yes, he did. I don't know what he's doing now. I think he's still in California, out there. But yeah, he was ahead of his time. And yeah, man, he was also one of my favorites to watch doing choreo. He did amazing choreo. He won the Super Grands traditional overall grands and the open grands, not in the same year, but
he won them both.
But yeah, that. And so when I did the same thing, I was the only person to do it back to back. Well, no, as an adult. I was the first one to do it as an adult. He did it as a junior.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so that's funny.
For me,
If Jimmy Fam randomly scrubs into my OR one day, I will fanboy.
Jackson, bro.
That's so true. Oh
um,
man.
for me, when it comes to fighting, and I'm gonna name a couple names, just because I mean, me and Jackson were going. Literally, me and Jackson were being like sport karate addicts at Super
Yeah.
Show with Damon Gilbert. So Damon was someone I definitely watched, and I still watch him to this day. I'm just trying to pick up little things from him.
And so when you saw him, I was a fan of him from the magazines, okay, in the 90s.
So I
Before
was a
he
fan
even
of him when he was, because he came
on
up to Ocean
JPM.
State all the time
Right.
when I was a kid. So I saw him during that time.
Right. I've shared my Damon Gilbert story the first time I really got to meet him, like actually hang out
Yeah, I
with
remember
him.
you saying you were like kind
All
of
right.
scared.
I was scared of that dude, all right? Because I was a Brian Plimple was one of my best friends in sport karate, all right? That's another person we'll need to talk about, okay?
Yeah.
But Brian Plimple and Damon Gilbert did not get along, and they were fighting and battling all the time. And so this was after Brian went to JPM, and we pick up Damon. And I've seen Damon in different tournaments and stuff, and just he was intense, especially out in the West Coast, because then he had his karate school that went to every tournament with him. All right. And it was best in the West. All right. And it'd be like, who's the best in the West? And then they would be BITW, and they would just be yelling and screaming. And it was wild and intense. So he was an intense guy. I wake up at DC and he's on the floor. I'm like, do I get up? I don't want to miss. I don't want to make him mad, man. He's an angry guy. He's just an angry guy. That's what I thought. And then ended up we becoming like great friends, and he was my roommate for the rest of my time. Like he made sure that I behaved. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I bet. Damon's different.
But
So
Damon Gilbert, watching videos of him versus Ray Wizard back in the day coming up is like amazing. And those guys, I mean, you're talking about the rivalry of NorCal versus SoCal. Like,
if anyone
Salientes has video of this stuff, and he needs to put it out. Okay.
And there's videos. If you have not seen videos of Damon when he was fighting a battle on the beach, you need to see that. Those are epic fights. Jackson, you know what I'm talking about. Battle on the beach. Those are epic. Some other people, man, that I watched growing up, and I still, and to be honest with you, a lot of my game was built off of them. Was A.B. Abdallah, Mafia Holloway. Those two right off the jump from the top of my head. If you look at my hook kick, I really took it from a Mafia hook kick. Like that's really how I throw it.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome.
When my axe kick, I kind of at first I was throwing it like Ibby, and then Mass Elliott showed me how to like really throw it the way Ibby does. And then on top of that,
you threw it the way you thought Ibby did it, and then he showed you actually how it did it, right?
Yeah. Listen, Ibby did it, and then Mass Elliott. I talked about it one day, and Mass Elliott was like, "This is how it's done," and like he showed it to me. So I was like, "Okay, I got you." Then I watched Jo before Jo was even on Paul Mitchell, so I had a lot of in terms of kicking. I saw Jo a lot growing up, man. Big ups to Jo. I was seeing Cam before when he was like my same age as me fighting in the men's division. Someone that I feel like doesn't get enough credit, and you're gonna know who I'm gonna say, Jeff, from the New York area, is Sheldon Ray.
Yes, that's true.
Sheldon had this ability that he can come out to a tournament and beat you, like beat everybody
without
training. Like, he just come out and just beat everybody. Like
if Sheldon would have trained more, man, just imagine, if he would have been like, he had a few years where he was consistent fighting all the time, but then that was it. But like if he would have just like stuck with it more, man, I mean, like if you imagine if he was as active as Kodak was, right? Like it's just wild, right? Because Kodak really was one of the most active fighters ever, like a Kevin Walker. People don't know how active he was.
Remember, because for the Crane, I saw James when he was coming up. I saw Kodak like when he was like hitting his prime. They had a guy from there. I think you remember him, Jeff Paris. He was from Next
Paris
Level.
Was great,
Paris was nice. Got a good leg.
Wait, I saw Paris. I think Paris came down to Florida this year, actually.
Yeah, he probably did. Yeah, so he was there. Someone else, man, was just besides the Mike, and I know we have the big names like the Mike P's and all that, but Richard Bearfield. That was someone I watched.
Yes,
I watched a lot. I watched Pedro,
big guy from the Bay Area.
Yes,
and he's he's a legend in that Bay Area for
In
him
that
being
area,
that
Alvin
first to put
Prouder,
on.
a legend in
Yeah.
that area.
The other thing though with Richard is that he was the first person to win back-to-back overall grands at Super Grands. That didn't happen again until 2008 and 2009 when Willie did it. So
Really?
like
Oh, I
those
didn't
two
know that.
did it in 90 and 91. Yeah,
Wow.
90 and 91. And then it didn't happen again until years later. So Richard Bearfield, yes, just passed away recently.
Yeah.
So that's for me, there's some other, so like for me growing up, it was Sean Elliott that I watched every
So yeah,
weekend.
I'm trying. Like
trained
I'm
with.
biased. Y'all know that
Yeah.
I'm biased
But
when it
again,
comes to.
for me, that's who I saw growing up all the time, and I got to train with him, So I'm getting to do fighting with Sean, and I'm getting to do forms with John Belair. I mean, and
They're
then
the
I'm
best of both
seeing,
worlds.
and I grew up seeing Seneca Luther, which a lot of people don't know who he is.
Oh,
Seneca Luther had a mohawk. He was really one of the ones who really took that showmanship level of forms
yeah.
and choreography to a whole nother level. And I know we got it. We again, like last week, yes, we're gonna have to wrap up soon. But there's so
Yeah,
much
my
to
bad.
talk about. But
Also, just putting it out there for this also, because I don't want to leave this out. Some women that I watched also growing up, man, was I watched. So in all seriousness, like I get to train with Mass Elliott and Miss Gina Thornton, but like I was like a huge Gina Thornton fan growing up, and I saw Gina compete a lot in my area, so I saw her all the time. I'm saying from Velocity to Paul Mitchell to where she is now. I'm biased. I gotta say Alexa's my favorite fighter, but outside of her, Gina is like my favorite fighter, number one overall. Nikki Carlson Lee. I saw her compete. Someone else that I saw a lot in my area was also Nikki Palin. I saw, and then I got to see Nikki when she was coming up, like through the ranks. And then Kiara was someone else, man, that I always.
Oh yeah.
Kiara was someone, and now she's moved on to boxing. But man, I saw Kiara again coming up from where I was just blessed. I got to see people from the beginning.
So someone who I saw, like always competing with her, but just seeing her grow up is Jennifer Santiago. To me, just one of the most well-rounded martial artists ever. Not just competitor. Like she was, and even at 8, 9 years old, she was like a prodigy. You know what I mean? Like that's what like. She would do MP at a tournament, and it would look like just like a grown person doing it. You know what I mean? And that's how awesome she was. That's someone people, she was the first person I didn't know what it was when she did it, but a cheat 720, that was the first person I ever saw do it.
Really?
Okay. And what it was is that Carmichael did the 720 that year in 94, and people were trying to figure out, well, what is this? You know what I mean? And actually, I think it was Hector, her brother, who did it first. Because I think he did it at Rhode Island that year, and then she did it, but she did it consistently. But a cheat 720, they were the first ones I ever saw do that. And this was in 94, at the end of 94 into 95. One of the best all-around competitors ever. Forms, weapons, fighting, just amazing. You would have loved watching Nikki fight. A couple more before we go. Again, I've mentioned this before. Jay Bell to me is an amazing fighter. You can find some of his fights from the early 80s and at US Open and Battle of Atlanta. Amazing fighter. But if people saw him on DKT and Prestige back in the day, like growing up, it was at tournaments, it was him and Brian Plimple. And Brian Plimple had to work his way to get to that point. And Jay was like, I'm going to beat you until you're ready for it. And that was the way it was. And we shared today as we were teaching, Tom said, fighting Jay Bell, he was angry when he put his gi on. He was angry when he fought. He was angry when the fight was over. He was angry when he left the building because he didn't get to punch you enough. Like he was just always angry. Right. And so that was wild. But Jay Bell was great. Brian Plimple to me is someone that most people need to talk about. For about 3 or 4 years, he was in that conversation of the best fighters in the world. Him, Raymond, Jason, Trevor, those guys, Mike P, Jotty. Like it was those 6 to me, really, and Brian had one of the best back fists I've ever seen. I mean, just right off the line, and he had a great D side, which a lot of people didn't really didn't really notice. It is sneaky too, right? And he won a lot of grands with that defensive sidekick, the takeoff back fist and the defensive sidekick.
Yeah, he did.
And he's someone who wants to be on the show, so we're gonna have him on sometime.
Oh, we gotta get BP on there. That's what I doubt, man.
So it's gonna be great, man.
Someone else that I thought was good was Johnny Guante. Before I forget him,
Johnny Guante, man.
Yo, man, Johnny Guante. And then honestly, in all seriousness, like I've saw a lot of videos of Master Elliott fighting, and like I'll tell y'all just off the cuff, like he can still do all of it today.
He can.
Like like when he teaches, he's showing you the drill because he's doing it.
Exactly.
But Johnny Guante, man, was someone like woof.
Yep. And I've trained with Ibby. I went up and trained with Ibby for a week. It's fun, man. I mean, your feet are ripped up into shreds after, but it's fun. I learned a lot from him. He takes a lot of stuff from Mafia and Nasty Anderson. Those are guys that really taught him so much. And he takes that and puts it into a lightweight fighter's mentality, like how to. So he fights like a heavyweight as a lightweight, right?
Yep, exactly.
And that's what helped him when he moved up to being a middleweight or light middleweight, how to fight those guys, you know?
Yeah,
it was he became more successful, even though if you guys need to go back and listen to our Ibby episode, after like in the 90s, he couldn't push off like he used to because he tore his knee up. And so imagine if he could push off like he was and doing all that stuff. He was just doing those kicks standing and just making people run into it, you know? So it's just wild. So there's so many people.
Yeah, we don't have enough time to get everybody.
No, but again, someone that Drew talks about is Hiro Koda, and he was one of my favorites growing up because it was like a whirlwind. Go and check him. A lot of these guys, check these guys out on YouTube. There's some video of guys like Hiro, and he was just wild and crazy, but he could do everything. And he also was the first one I saw do Sai and win with Sai on a high level. Sai, yeah. And he had the reversible Sai, right?
Oh,
but David Douglas did the same thing too. David Douglas could do that as well.
I've never seen anyone win with Sai, so I'm like blown away.
Yeah, that was my first weapon growing up with Sai. So yeah.
Hey man, but listen, for everybody also, man, if you guys didn't get a chance to read Jackson's article, I mean, I really think you guys should read it. And then, you know, I'm someone that Jeff can tell you. I always ask Jeff all the time. I text Jeff, be like, fantasy matchup, this guy versus that guy. Yeah. And Jeff would be like, actually, this is a better matchup. And then I'm like, well, who's this person? You know, ask whoever you need to, just learn more about the sport, and that's how it grows. Right. Because man, like that's honestly, Jeff, you don't understand how much I love picking your brain, honestly.
Thanks, man. I'm here for everybody to do that. All right. So I'll see you guys at the next tournament and come and talk to me. We'll chat it up and we'll talk more about it. So yes, he is high up in movie choreography. That's what I was, again, sitting with Ron Searles. He was explaining to me how Hiro had him do a twist kick in one of the things because he could extend it out. And we were talking about, he asked me, well, so what's your favorite or your favorite trick or your favorite kick? I was like, I'm probably most known for my side kick and my twist kick. Yeah, you know, he's like, really? Me too. And I was like, yeah, I know. Like I grew up watching him. So it's kind of cool. But all right, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Angel, thanks for joining us, man. It's always
no
fun.
Problem. Thank you guys for having me on. Thank you, man, Alex last week, and then you this week, man. It's always a pleasure to get in with you guys.
We will get back on our regularly scheduled episode next week. We may have a guest next week too. We haven't had another. I mean, we've had guests. But you're part of the team. You're part of the main game.
I got you.
You know, I don't think of you as a guest. I think you think of you as part of the team. You know?
Yeah.
That's right. So. Thank you guys so much. This has been another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I'm Jeff Doss.
I'm Angel Diaz.
See you guys next week.
Gotcha.